What's going on, everybody? Bobby Fire, Sheet Saber. We're going to be talking about this NBA slate, but we'll start off with just saying, like, for me, it was a terrible day of football. I didn't play as heavy as I usually do, partly because I've been under the weather, but I'm glad I didn't because I got a lot of things right, but my biggest take was basically I had Dak in about half of my lineups by the end of the day, and I had CeeDee Lamb. Basically, everybody I had, my highest owned players, all got hurt, so it was not going to be my day anyway. So why don't you talk a little bit about the slate and what you
So let's catch up. First of all, I haven't spoken to you since, so I was on kind of a good showdown running. You remember I won that baseball one. And then on Thursday, I chopped that one for 28,000.
That's awesome. Yeah.
So this classic was just kind of the usual bullshit. I couldn't. Listen, I cashed for a couple of my Millie Maker. I cashed actually for two of my 3 555s in the Millie Maker. That was okay. FanDuel, I didn't do so well. Didn't really get any real sweats in the Millie Maker. And then I caught a real nasty one in the showdown last night. In the Wildcat, I was in – okay. So I was tied for first. There's only me and one other guy, like $70,000 for both of us.
Geez.
Obviously, I take, right? And as usual with the showdown, it's a lot. There's a lot to do, right? And so I had the same 5 guys. The other guy had whatever, but there was a couple of – he had like a Josh Downs. I had an Adenoy, whatever, who got like 1 snap, whatever it was. But we were like a point or so ahead, okay? And did you watch the game at all or no?
I didn't. Last night I didn't watch the game.
Okay, so I'll narrate it. Okay. Yeah. So we were about, we were ahead, but the Vikings had the ball. It was an incredible lineup. I had 4 Vikings, and the only guys I had from the Colts was the defense, who scored 1 million points, and this Adonai guy who got 1 catch. Anyway, so we were in first place, and Minnesota was trying to march down the field. And obviously, I just want them to get to like the 2-yard line and just kneel on the ball, okay?
Right.
And that's it. It was like, it'd be 2 minutes to go. And it was one of those cool situations where they had first down on like the 13 with like 2:30 to go. So if they can get to the 2, right, they have it all over, right? Okay. So, and I didn't have any issues with Minnesota because I had Aaron Jones, I had Jefferson, I had Darnold. The only guy that couldn't score to screw me was Josh Naylor, but I didn't think Josh Naylor was even going to get a snap when they're just trying to run the game out. Okay? That's fine. So on a 3rd down and whatever, and 8 or from the 11-yard line, Darnold rolled to the left and threw a touchdown pass to Josh Oliver, who was low enough owned that it didn't matter. Okay, so all good. All I needed was nothing, right? I literally needed nothing. Now I knew what I was getting myself into because you knew that that Minnesota was going to, was going to let the Colts, just do whatever. And so there's our backdoor issues. The behind me was I had somebody with 0.8 points behind. They had Vikings defense, so whatever. I had worries about Vikings getting interception, whatever. Mm-hmm. And that guy and a couple guys had Josh Downs. There was some Matt Gay, whatever it is. I just needed basically nothing to happen. And I had the Adonai Mitchell as well. So just in case there was the Adonai Mitchell, that seals it. Okay. Right. So in order. So I'm in first place. So in order, the following happens. First down, okay. Sack, okay. Oh. Actually, that didn't put me losing yet. But then second down, another sack that dropped me to 3rd, okay. I'm like, great. Now I need one from Adonai Mitchell, okay, to get back into first. But at the very least nothing else happens. Like at least no Josh Downs thing. I still get second for 30,000, right? Okay. Next play, zoom down the field, Josh Downs. Okay. So now I'm in like tied for 4th or 5th, but still cashing for like 8 or something like that. And so then I'm like, okay, now I talked myself into the fact that I was going to get one from Adonai Mitchell to get it back. Now, Adonai Mitchell, for whatever reason, just never got on the field. He was on the field for 1 play, and he had an amazing catch in the 3rd quarter, never heard from him again. If it was garbage time, whatever, he would back on the field, but he didn't. So I'm like, okay, fine. Just no more from, even another one for Josh Downs, I at least get whatever. So they completed the ball down to like the 36-yard line or whatever, like 16 seconds to go or something like that. I'm like, okay, I got one more shot at Adonai Mitchell, right, to get back into first. But instead, what I should have thought, they walked Matt Gay on down 11, okay, for the field goal that, you know what I mean, who kicked the field goal to like a 50-yarder no less to let 3 other people go past me. So I ended up cashing like 6,500.
That's gross, though, man. I'm glad I didn't have that kind of a sweat watching that. That's brutal.
Kind of gross. But it did get me pretty much even for the day, which was nice. But I really thought I was going to be in business there.
Yeah.
Anyway, we can just move on, I guess. To basketball.
That's brutal. Yeah, that's a rough one.
Yeah, that is a nasty one.
And that would have kept your run going.
Yep. All right, let's. Okay, let me share my. You can use mine. I'll share my draft.
Yeah. All right. So yeah, this is one of those weird slates. This is the 15 minutes apart every game. I kind of like these actually.
Ooh, you know what? I noticed that it's an overlapper. In other words, I think FanDuel's probably different because this one ends at last game is 8:45.
Yeah,
I think there are games that start afterwards, so I think FanDuel probably has the others.
FanDuel has all of them. Yeah, they've got 500 million games.
And it's interesting. I ran some projections and I ran some sims, and the guys I'm getting are a little bit. I wasn't expecting to get what I got. So, but we'll get into that when we get there, I guess.
Yeah. Let's talk about it. We'll go through the game by game here. Man, there's been some weird stuff early in the season. Some good teams that are supposed to be there just off to terrible starts, and right off the bat we have the Milwaukee against what's been the best team in the NBA in Cleveland.
I'll tell you else what's really sad. Can you believe what I must have cursed him with the Paolo Banchero.
Oh man, what a brutal one.
Yeah, I mean,
he was looking like an MVP. Like, I mean, that's what he did.
Do you have any?
It's crazy.
Not to start a holy war here, but do you have any takes on the Embiid stuff?
Which is the most recent thing? I've been a little bit tapped out of some of that.
Oh, when he went after the reporter.
What did he physically?
Oh yeah. Okay. So there's more to it. Okay.
How did I not catch it? I've been out of it a little bit for the last few days.
So basically, not just I don't want to over summarize it, but so apparently, let's put it all in context. Like Embiid has basically dedicated his life to like his son, who like either died prematurely or he was really sick or whatever. So in any case, apparently, he missed practice or he was injured or something like that. And some reporter like wrote an article and made a comment saying, "Listen, I know you're dedicating yourself to your son, dedicating the season to your son. One thing you could do him proud or whatever it is to stay freaking healthy and be ready for games. Okay, you're injured too much or whatever it is." And so basically, Embiid didn't take too kindly to that. Said, the idea was keep my family out of your freaking business. Even though it wasn't technically about his family.
Right.
And so he wrote something about that. And next time that Embiid saw the reporter in the locker room, he like basically they got into it and Embiid shoved it. Right. So it's read it. I would read it all before weighing.
I'll take a look at it. Yeah, for sure.
There's definitely some nuance to all of it. Anyway, I figured I would ask your opinion on that. All right. So Milwaukee. So for all that, you like anything in Milwaukee, Cleveland?
It's not a game that I feel especially drawn to. I would say that I think you're kind of in must-win mode. Like, not must-win, but like, I mean, this is a pretty. They're what are they 1-5 right now, the Bucks, and you need to start winning some games. They had an absolute classic. They just played Cleveland. I did see the highlights from that game, but I mean, look, it's Giannis. If you can afford him, certainly makes plenty of sense. Donovan Mitchell on the other side certainly makes sense to me. Nothing that seems like a priority. If it was anything else, it'd be Mobley, but I don't have anything as a priority for me. How about you?
Yeah, I'm not getting much of this at all. But don't forget. I mean, even if Milwaukee isn't even that good, all it means is it could be another like 70 fantasy points a night for Giannis, I guess.
Yeah, exactly.
But I'm not really getting too much in this game at all. I guess the only thing I would say is of the guys that I'm getting to, it's Donovan Mitchell. I'm getting the most of, and even that's not very much.
Yeah, and if you're max entering things or playing a lot of lineups, I do think that I think you'd end up with a good amount of Giannis, but I do think that the large field play is Lillard, but it's not something you should be messing around with in single entry or high buy-in small field stuff. I think it would just be a large field play for me. All right, then we go to Washington. Why don't you start this one off, and what do you think about it?
Well, you could have sort of like some continued reverse, revenge with Jordan Poole. I mean, I don't care where this game is. Every time you play Golden State, he's going to shoot 40 times, right? I have no problem with that at what seems like a tough price tag, but I'm still getting a decent amount of that. And I see his ownership is projected to be really low. So I have no problem with that. But the value here is this is that Keyshawn George dude. I'm getting a decent amount of that. What is his position? Small forward?
Small forward.
Yeah, so I don't know. I think I got him in his last game too. I played him over the weekend when he was against Atlanta. He did okay. I actually did pretty well actually. So I'm getting Keyshawn George quite a bit. Not really getting anything on Golden State, and as I mentioned, Jordan Poole as well.
Yeah, and I think this is so. I think Carrington is the guy who I would be the most comfortable playing. And I think he's probably like a cash game play, just playing 1 million minutes, reasonable price tag. So he and George would be the two guys for value that I would look at in this game. I think it'll look like a good projection for Joval. And I just would warn everybody that whenever you play him as chalk, you got to realize like the way he's set up. I mean, he played 16 minutes in the last game. He's going to be in the low 20s most of the time minutes wise. Now he can get there occasionally, but to play him as chalk like that just doesn't feel like the right way we should be treating him in general. So I think Carrington and George are the two other ones. They've been smart this year. It was pretty clear. I'm a big Koulibaly guy. I think the guy's really good, and he's going to be really good. But he's been so good that now we're talking about almost $6K for him. It's not the worst idea in the world, but he would be the next one in line for me. I do think this game has some potential shootout stuff. And if Steph plays, I think Steph is a completely good run back to what might already be a natural Washington stack. So. And I agree with your Poole take as well. It's gonna be a fast paced game, and this is one that I think you could see targeting. It's just hard to. It's never fun with the Warriors. With the Wizards, they could get blown out in any game. All right, my Lakers in Detroit.
Yeah, I'm getting a decent amount of Cade Cunningham in all formats actually. I'm getting him in my big buy-in right now. I'm getting him in the lottery right now as well. And I kind of, I'm not upset about that.
Mm-hmm.
As far as the Lakers, I'm getting like 15% D'Angelo Russell. That's pretty much all I got for you.
Yeah, I think that for one, I think that Cade is just a really good. I feel very comfortable with him at that price. If I wasn't going to play him, I would consider playing Jaden Ivey. I just think that's the way we should be treating Detroit as a overall. I haven't had much of a chance to talk about it so far this year because I feel like that's the path for Cade not getting there, and they both can get there. But this is it's a reasonable enough matchup. So those would be the two I have the most interest on the Detroit side. And then I have no issue with the Reeves or Russell at these prices. I will say that LeBron, he's not to say it's not going to be the same where he's going to go nuts every night. But he's going to have plenty of 50s, 60s, and 70s in there, and you could always consider him at 9K just because of a price enforced thing, and it's a good matchup for Davis. So the ones I actually would focus on though will be the Cade, and honestly, I think LeBron is a very reasonable play at this price, and Russell. I understand that people like the pricing looks tempting. I am not the biggest D'Angelo Russell fan in real life or for fantasy. If you tell me he's going to be low owned, I'd play him. I don't really like playing him as chalk. I probably would rather just pay a little more for Austin Reeves. But Cunningham and LeBron are actually my two favorites here. All right, Boston and Atlanta, which should be a pretty high scoring game. These Boston guys play quick.
Yeah, and that might explain why I'm getting a bunch of them. I'm getting like 4 of my top 10 owned guys. It looks like are on Boston actually, and those would be, I guess, in order right now. Luke Cornett off the bench. I don't even know if off the bench. Or Sam Hauser, and then you got some actual good players too. You got Derek White and Tatum actually. Those 4 guys, I'm getting quite a bit of all of it. But right now I'm not really getting anything on Atlanta, and that seems like kind of a mistake. I think if you're going to play like multiple Boston guys, you're gonna probably need Trae Young, I guess, right? Yeah, you would think so. So I'm gonna have to rethink that. But these Boston guys by themselves certainly look really good.
Yeah, I think I think even Tatum at 10K is totally reasonable with no Jaylen Brown. There's so many Q tags today. It just makes your head sort of spin. But
like every other freaking day.
Yeah, I know. It's just I think Hauser and Hauser's questionable too, which would really open. I don't even know what the hell up. But I like Cornette and Hauser both for value. I would give the slight edge to Hauser actually, just because of the position over Cornette, and I think he gets the more of a boost with no Jaylen Brown. But we'll see what the projections look like when he's officially announced in or out, or if we even get that news for sure when we want to. Drew Holiday at 5,400. So part of my thinking when we brought up the play of Russell, I think I would rather just play Holiday at 5,400, considering that they're down, technically down two men, Jaylen Brown and Porzingis, but he's been out as it is. And Pritchard's been really good, so it kind of worries me a little bit. But I expect one of Holiday, White, or Pritchard to have a good game here. And the pricing for Holiday makes it tempting, but the upside play might be the Derek White. This feels like the kind of matchup he'll thrive in, especially with no Jaylen Brown. So I like a lot of guys here. I would probably have at least 3 Boston guys on almost all my teams, Cornette, Hauser, and then deciding between that group. But I think Derek White's my next favorite. And I'm totally good with – the only issue I have with the Trae thing, it's the right pace matchup. He's got all the usage in the world, but if you tell me you have to go against Derek White and Drew Holiday the whole game, and Peyton Pritchard is not a bad defender either, I just don't think it's a great spot for him to have a chance to flourish as much. I think Jalen Johnson is the play I would actually go with for Atlanta. I'm just high on Johnson in general, and I think he's got upside. So he's actually my favorite Atlanta play. I mean, they've played in their last 5 games, 3 of them he's been over 55. This guy's for real, and he can score. He can do it in a lot of different ways. So I really like that quite a bit. But the big priorities will be the value, the Cornette, and the Hauser.
So I forgot how did you weigh in on Keyshawn George? I know you spoke about Koulibaly before I forget about this.
Yes, I like George, but I'm getting to more of the Carrington myself.
Right. See, again, I'm like looking at his game logs, and guys like this I like. I mean, this guy that he just hasn't been able to make a shot like at all.
Yeah.
But he's like all over the freaking place. I mean, look at you might consider this a negative, whatever, but there are 2 games where he played like 25 minutes and had 5 personal fouls.
Right.
At the small forward position. I mean, he ain't shy. He's going to try to get to the ball or whatever. He had 4 rebounds, 4 assists, and 4 blocks in a game where he's had 27 minutes.
Right.
And then 4 assists, 3 steals against Atlanta in this game. So I don't know. I like guys like this that are really listen. And he's a rookie too, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So they want to play. They made it very clear from the start. They're finally doing the right things in Washington. Let the young guys play. Be bad, but let them play. So that's what they're doing.
And meanwhile,
the only issue with him is if you look at it from him versus Hauser straight up, I think Hauser is probably a better play, or at least they're very close. And do you really want to lock up both your forward spots with the 3,500 and 3,900 player? That's the only thing.
And meanwhile, and to that point, and I have a stat for you. Remember, we had this discussion about just letting the rookies play. Bryce Young with the W,
with the win. I love to see it. And it was nice to see. He actually looked. He didn't put up great numbers. I watched a little bit of that game, but at least he looked like a competent enough player. I was happy to see.
So here's an interesting stat because I went. I had 3 Survivor picks, and actually one of them lost with the Saints. I got through with 2 of them. So the Saints they completed a feat which has never been accomplished. I think they said there was a stat. They had 150 yards advantage running the ball, 150 yards advantage passing the ball,
right,
and won the turnover battle and lost the game. It was the first time I think ever that happened.
That's right. I heard the same thing. Absolutely.
Yep. Anyway, moving on. Memphis against Brooklyn. I don't have a lot. I mean, I think that at this point, at all points, you can always play double digits of Cam Thomas in like every game.
Mm-hmm.
It correlates nicely with your take on him winning the scoring title, which is nice. So I do like that, and I'm getting pretty much what I mentioned, like 10-15%. Memphis, Speaking of getting 4 or 5 personal fouls right away, Jaron Jackson Jr. At 7,400 looks, I guess, reasonable enough. I mean, this game really isn't much of a priority, but those would be the 2 guys I like.
Yeah, I think this is a weird one. The Clowney projection, I'll just point it out, and maybe it'll change later today. I've said it every game so far this year.
Again with the Clowney?
I've been right every time, and this one doesn't even make any sense really, because it's not like Claxton's not available. I understand that no Ben Simmons, but like I don't know. I just cannot understand why he always projects for a number he's yet to hit. And they've had guys out every game basically, so I'm not buying that as a value play. I much prefer the value from the Celtics or from the Wizards. I like Cam Thomas tonight. Like he's going to have a wide range of outcomes. I don't feel as good about my bet with him as I did before, but I thought it was the right idea because he is a gunner. He'll just go out there and try and take over every game. The Brooklyn team has been a little more feisty and it looked more like a real basketball team than I think anybody expected. So with that, he's also a little bit less, he's not going to go quite as nuts quite as often, because they just have a bunch of guys playing hard, and Schroeder's been good for them and all that. But yeah, I don't really have a lot that I like here, to be honest with you. If I had to do anything, it would be Cam Thomas. I also am interested to see how Ja Morant continues to progress this year. It's interesting, like almost like he's had only 1 dunk attempt this year. He's played a more patient and a sort of self-preserving in a good way for his own body, because it was something people brought up a lot. How is he going to stay healthy throughout his career? Because I mean, he's got all the talent in the world to be the best, and they've also kept him under 30 minutes pretty much every game. So maybe it's not the right time to start utilizing him yet, but we will want to soon enough, I think. That's all I got there.
Well, let's see. What has he been doing here?
He had a big game the other night, but he only played 31 minutes.
Played 29 minutes when he scored 65. That's so funny.
Oh yeah, that was the big game. Sorry.
Yeah, you can't play him at that price with these types of minutes. It's not possible.
And it's, you can see that even in the closer games, it's basically been around there. Although most of their games do seem to go towards blowouts for whatever reason this far. And this is probably another one that you certainly could blow out Brooklyn. I mean, I know they've been playing above their heads, but I'm not counting on that lasting forever. All right, we have Sacramento and Miami.
Yeah, I have nothing in this game.
I can't figure out what the hell to do with Sacramento in general. I also. Look, I guess I'm just going to make that same statement that when you have a great matchup and Jimmy Butler, who's sort of underperformed this year, but has still had, put up a 46 and a 54 out of his 5 games so far, that would be fine by me. And it's a good matchup, so I'll throw his name out there. But I think that the real guy, if you're going to play anybody, is probably take a shot with Tyler Hero. They got smoked in the last game. Don't worry about that. He's going to have a wide range of outcomes because he's a gunner. But he put a 56 the night before that. He made 8 threes in that game. It's a good matchup. So I like the idea of maybe trying to get to a piece or two from Miami. Just definitely nothing that's a priority. Hero being the most obvious one. But if I had a really chalky build and I wanted to get different, I would have no problem throwing Jimmy Butler into a lineup.
So funny. Because I mentioned it, Tyler Hero, I have to bring this up with Jordan when we speak later. I actually currently, and this is funny, when you use SaberSim and when you use the contest sims and all this stuff, you want to put the tournament, the stuff in a particular tournament that your lineup is best suited for. And currently, Tyler Hero, I have him in my big buy-in and 0 in the fadeaway.
Oh,
literally 0.
That's interesting. I get it, because if you're playing a bunch of lineups, taking a guy who's going to be 20% owned, I could see why it would be faded in that one, but also why it would go towards the big one. It makes sense to me.
I don't know. We'll see. Okay, so I don't know if you saw it, but I saw it mid when we just got started. But news came out about Markkanen now being doubtful.
I did not see that.
Yeah, he was questionable, but now he's marked as doubtful. So there's going to be so obviously ignore the projections as they are up there right now. Those will change, and let the speculation commence, but I imagine Colin Sexton's going to be a good play. I imagine Jordan Clarkson, maybe no, not Clarkson. Sorry,
could be
George. I don't know. Filipowski, someone told me about over the weekend. He's not bad, but I mean, with marking it out, someone's got to look good.
Yeah, I think that it's probably going to go that way. They do play a lot of guys for what it's worth, no matter what. So it is possible that they just sort of all medium out. I think that, look, I like Kessler anyway a little bit here tonight. I like Keontae George a little bit. I like everybody a little bit. Nobody who stands quite as a priority yet, but Filipowski, you could definitely talk me into, assuming that he starts. Cody Williams is the one that I think the projections haven't caught up with yet, just because I think he's, as a starter, if he plays 30, can we get him up to 30 minutes? It's possible. And if he plays 30 minutes, you kind of have to consider at least
30 minutes and scored 17 fantasy points.
I know it's not pretty, but it's
he doesn't even have a picture on DraftKings. I mean,
I know that's just because
that's terrible. How could you play a guy that doesn't even have a picture? Brutal. However, on the other side, I'm getting a whole bunch of the Chicago. I don't know why, but so I'm getting 1, 2, 3, 4 guys right out of the gate. I'm getting Desumnu, Zach Levine, Josh Giddey, who I didn't even know played on Chicago, and Vooch. So I'm getting all 4 of those guys over. I mean, a decent amount. Yeah,
I think that's fair. I have Levine as a priority. Actually, I tagged him as a core play today. He's like he can have those dud games. It worries me a little bit playing the Bulls as chalk ever, because you do have with Levine, Giddey, and White, it really could be any one of them on a given night. Like it's hard to know what it's going to be. It's just like it's almost like the hot hand thing. So I just can't quite figure out what to do with it personally. But I do think Levine is the one I feel the best about. And I think it's a terrific matchup. And who knows? Like if Levine's questionable. If Levine's out, then you play all of them. You play Sonmu, Giddey, and White possibly. Like they're all probably reasonable enough. And I don't think anyone's going to play Vooch. Well, maybe they will. I think Vooch is reasonable as well. So I have it ranked Levine, Desumnu, Vooch, Giddey, White, but I think all of them are very much.
And if the Utah value looks better, then the whole game could be a game stack.
Yeah, it could be a game stack. I just can't. Again, with Utah, they play all these guys, and it seems like but without marketing, somebody has to look better than what we've got projected right now. So I'm hoping it tightens up before we're live later. All right, Knicks in Houston.
Yeah, so I'm getting a little bit of this. I mean, nothing major, but I was going to say the usual suspects, but I guess not the usual suspects. I'm getting a good amount of Josh Hart at 6,100, and I'm also getting a decent amount of Jalen Brunson at 8,100. I'm not getting Cat today, but those 2 guys I'm getting, and for some reason I'm not getting too much anything on Houston.
Yeah, I'm okay with Brunson. I'm okay with Cat, not priority guys for me. I think Hart is my favorite of the ones to decide between. You just look at the minutes and you feel, I mean, all of the Knicks you feel that way with, but you just got a guy who's going to play 40 minutes every night. And look, if he doesn't get there and he has a bad game, I can live with it. At 6,100, it feels too cheap, actually, for even just what he's done this year. It feels a little too cheap. I don't really know why it's that cheap. So I do have Hart as the one who I'm the most interested in. I would consider taking a shot here. This is the time I think maybe you take the gamble and hope that you get the big Şengün game that we haven't seen as much of since opening night.
Right.
I could see him beating Cat up like physically inside.
Oh, for sure.
I know Cat's like a good all around defender in a lot of ways. He's not a good one-on-one post defender. He gives up a ton of offensive rebounds. It feels like the kind of game where Şengün could really put up something. So he's probably one of my favorite get weird plays. And if it wasn't him, I think you could talk me into either Jalen Green or Fred VanVleet. It's been a little bit. It's hard with VanVleet because the production just hasn't been there so far. At least Jalen Green is going to try and shoot his way into basically every game. But the one who I'm not going to not priority. But if you wanted a play that can win you a tournament, I will say Şengün is that play. By the way, I wonder if I won my bet, my thing last night. That might have been my only good take is that, oh no, because what's his name got the second touchdown in the 100 yards, Gesicki. Otherwise, the Gesicki Taysom Hill combo was the nuts.
Well, I also hope that people followed my Breeders' Cup advice on Saturday.
Oh, how did it go?
I mean, let's talk about this for a minute. So in the Classic, it's so funny. I always consider doing this, but it's like so hard to edit videos. To just every day to do like bad take, good take, like from the day before. Mm-hmm. So like you play a clip of how of something you said, and then kind of have the stats of what happened in the background or something like that.
Yeah.
So for the Classic, I basically said it was 100% a 2-horse race, and neither of them were the favorites, and they ran literally 1-2, and I also said that the actual favorite in the race, I would bet if I could get 100 to 1 on to finish last. You know, 14 horse field, I would do it. And it didn't finish last, but it was freaking close.
Really?
Yeah, it did. Really wasn't getting any better than that. We had a couple of really good hits. My friend I told you about from Santa Barbara, who I hooked up with again. He went down to Del Mar and he watched my video and just basically just took notes and just started screenshotting me like after every race from Del Mar, the money he was making. He made like $3,000 or something like that. Never been to the racetrack, I think.
Nice.
Yeah. So that went really well. And listen, we're back at it this week. NBA, NHL every day, except for today. It's like 2 games late today.
Yeah.
Showdowns, football, NASCAR, MMA again. We've had like 100 straight weeks in a row of MMA.
It feels like that.
We've had a little break from League of Legends because they've had the Worlds, but and then we have a sweat coming up soon in like, believe it or not, in like 2 or 3 weeks. There's the finals of the World Championship qualifier, whatever it is, the World Championship of the F1. I won a seat to that like 6 months ago or something.
Oh wow!
That it takes forever for it to fill, but so we got that. We got plenty of guys in the Discord that are going to help me build my lineup. I promise you for that one. So listen, all kinds of sports, all kinds of fun stuff, and looking forward to it.
Yeah, should be a good one. Hopefully, I'll be a little better by later today and very latest tomorrow. But yeah, we'll be around, and I'll see you at 3 Eastern, right?
Yep, I will see you. Yes, I will see you at 3.